Hello friends, this video on nuclei part 6 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. Please make sure that you have watched all the videos till part 5 before going ahead with part 6. To start with, let us consider the lighter nuclei. That means the first part of this graph. So in this portion, the mass number is less and also the binding energy is also less. So what happens when the binding energy is less? I told you some time back that if your binding energy per nucleon is less, that means lesser amount of energy is required to separate the nucleons. That means the nucleons are not very tightly bound inside the nucleons. That in turn means that the nuclei is less stable. So we can say that these such lighter nuclei are relatively unstable. So what happens? So whenever something is unstable, what happens? It is a normal tendency that everything wants to be stable. So if something is unstable, it tries to become stable by some means. So in this case, what happens? The lighter nuclei combine with each other and form a heavy nuclei. So two lighter nuclei combine with each other to form a heavy nuclei. So now the binding energy for the lighter nuclei, let us represent it as EBN, and the binding energy of this heavy nuclei, heavy means it is heavier than these lighter nuclei. So this binding energy, let us represent it as EBN dash, right? So what happens? This is unstable. Why it is unstable? That you know, because the binding energy is less. So this nuclei, that means from unstable, it combines and it forms a heavier nuclei to become relatively stable. So it is stable compared to this, right? So that means EBN dash is greater than EBN. I mean, binding energy more means more stable, binding energy less means less stable. So what does this mean? This means that this energy is more than this energy. So what does that mean? That means there is some extra energy here. What is that extra energy? That extra energy is nothing but the energy which is released in this process. So that means when two lighter nuclei combine together to form a heavier nucleus, energy is released in this process. And this process is known as nuclear fusion. So we will talk about nuclear fusion towards the end of this lesson. So this is just the introduction, that why two lighter nuclei combine to form a heavy nucleus, because the lighter nuclei have lesser binding energy, so they are less stable. So they want to become stable, therefore they combine together to form a relatively heavier nucleus which has got better stability. Now in this process, a huge amount of energy is released, and this energy is made useful for various practical purposes. So this phenomenon is known as nuclear fusion, right? Now let us look at the second conclusion. That is, now let us look at for the heavier nuclei. Now if the nucleus is very heavy, that means for nuclei which has got very high mass numbers. So what happens for such nuclei? In this case, mass numbers are very high. Binding energy per nucleon again is very less. So in this case, this heavy nuclei, how does it try to become stable? So now in this case, the heavier nuclei tries to split into two lighter nuclei to gain little stability. So in this case, this is more unstable and this part of the system is relatively stable. I mean, this part is stable than this part, right? So in this case, let us suppose this binding energy is EBN and this side binding energy is EBN dash. So in this case, what happens? This is more stable, so EBN dash is greater than EBN, right? So again, this side energy is more, so that means this side it has this EBN plus some extra energy. That means in this process also energy is released. So that means, and this is known as nuclear fission. That means when a heavy unstable nucleus breaks up into two lighter nuclei to gain little stability, a lot of energy is released, and this process is known as nuclear fission. right? Let us now look at the third part. That is, we will now talk about the constancy of the nuclear binding energy in the mid-range of the mass number. That means in this middle portion of the graph, why does this value of nuclear binding energy remains constant? That is because what is this nuclear binding energy actually indicating? It is actually indicating how good or how bad the nucleons are bound to each other, right? That is what it is actually depicting. So this is constant. Why? Because in this portion, what happens as your mass number increases, what is happening? The number of nucleon is increasing. But actually, if you see the force which is actually present between the nucleons, that is a short ranged force. For example, let us take an example in this way. Let us suppose this is one nucleon. Now these are the nucleons which are present inside the nucleus, right? Let us suppose I consider one particular nucleon. Let us suppose I am considering this nucleon. Now this nucleon is tightly bound to this nucleon, tightly bound to this one and this one, right? But as the other nucleons are going away from it, the force with which it is bound to that nucleon also decreases. That is because the nuclear force is a short range force. That means the strength of the nuclear force decreases as the distance increases. So that means any particular nucleon is affected only by its nearest neighbors. It is not much bothered about what is happening on the other corner. For example, if you think of your colony, if your next door neighbor switches on his television in a very high volume, right? So that noise from his television will bother you because he is the next door neighbor. So that noise is audible to your house. But let us suppose that the 10th house in your colony, which is almost say half a kilometers away from your home, if they switch on their television in a loud mode, that will not bother you much. So you are most affected by your nearest neighbors, the neighbors which are staying just beside your home. Similarly, in this case also, a nucleon is affected the most by its nearest neighbors. So in this mid-range, what happens is that as the mass number keeps increasing, the number of nucleons keep increasing. But one particular nucleon is not much bothered about those increasing nucleons because it is not getting much affected. So as the mass number increases, however, more nucleons are getting added, but the nearest neighbors remain the same. So the binding energy per nucleon also remain the same, right? So that is what was observed for this range. But when the number of nucleons increases too much, that means when there are too many nucleons, then the reverse starts happening. Because when there are too many nucleons, then we see that the binding energy per nucleon suddenly decreases, right? As we saw in the previous slide. That is what is happening here at the higher end. When it increases too much, then again the binding energy starts decreasing because the heavier nuclei starts becoming unstable. So when they start becoming unstable, the binding energy decreases and they start splitting up into lighter nuclei, right? So I hope you are able to understand the concept of nuclear binding energy and also nuclear binding energy per nucleon. So what was the significance of nuclear binding energy? It tells us how stable a nucleus is, right? Why did we talk about nuclear binding energy per nucleon? Because this binding energy per nucleon gave us the initial concept of fission and fusion, that why fission and fusion would take place at all, right? So it gave us a basic framework. What happens as the mass number of elements keep increasing. So this plot of binding energy per nucleon versus mass number proved out to be extremely useful, right? So now we will talk about nuclear force. Just now I mentioned about this term, right? Nuclear force. Till now we have been telling that it is because of the nuclear binding energy that the nucleons are bound to each other. But there has to be some force between the nucleons, and that force is known as the nuclear force. So let us quickly look at some of the properties of the nuclear force. It is a strong attractive force that binds the nucleons together. It is the strongest force. So when you compare it with the other forces of nature, be it the gravitational force, be it the Coulomb's force, be it the weak forces, so this nuclear force is the strongest of all forces. In fact, when you think of your nucleus, you have got protons and neutrons, right? So inside the nucleus, you have protons and neutrons. Now we are saying that they are bound to each other because of this attractive force. But don't you think that when protons are all positively charged, these positively charged protons should repel each other? And they actually do repel each other. And the force of repulsion between these protons is given by the Coulomb force of repulsion. So this nuclear force actually fights with the Coulomb force of repulsion and wins over it, because nuclear force is stronger than the Coulomb force. So the Coulomb force of repulsion is defeated by the nuclear force of attraction, and that is why the neutrons and protons are held together inside the nucleus. Otherwise the protons would have repelled each other and they would have moved away from each other, right? Okay. The third point is it is a short range force. That means, that is what we saw in the previous slide, right? Let us suppose if you have two nucleons nearby, then the nuclear force between them is the strongest. Now, if the neutrons are moved away from each other, the nuclear force decreases. Now, if the nucleons are taken even further away from each other, that nuclear force decreases all the more. So that means the nuclear force is effective only for short distances. As the distance keeps increasing, the magnitude of nuclear force keeps decreasing. It is independent of electric charge. That means it doesn't matter whether a nucleon is positively charged, negatively charged, or neutral. That means the magnitude of nuclear force is same between proton-proton, proton-neutron, or neutron-neutron. So that is why it is said that it is independent of electric charge. There is no simple mathematical form of nuclear force. Like as you would have seen for gravitational force, you have a mathematical form to express or to define gravitational force. How do you define gravitational force? You say F is equal to G m1 m2 by r square, right? That F is nothing but the gravitational force. Similarly, you have a mathematical form of Coulomb's force, that is F is equal to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q1 Q2 by r square. This determines the force between two charged particles of charges Q1 and Q2. But for nuclear force, you don't have any such mathematical form to express it. So nuclear force, we just know the existence of nuclear force, and we know that it is a short range force. It decreases with increase in distance. But there is no mathematical form as such. So this was all the basic information about a nucleus. Thank you. Please visit examfear.com to watch free educational videos, try free online tests, get the best quality study materials, study from the best tutors and mentors, and much more. Thank you once again.